One of the best parts about skateboarding is that it's something you can do anywhere, anytime, and with anyone. Sometimes this might mean skating with a big group of friends, but a lot of times it means having sessions where you're just skating by yourself. At first, skating by yourself might seem like a bad thing, but it can actually be a lot of fun, and some people even prefer it. Whether or not you like skating by yourself, it's something that every skateboarder has to deal with occasionally, so it's good to learn how to make the best of it. In this video, we're going to go over a few tips for skating alone. If you have any suggestions of your own, go ahead and share them in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on the video, and with that said, let's get right into it. The first tip for skating alone is to focus on learning new tricks. This might seem like common sense, but when you're skating by yourself, it can be easy to just default to cruising around and doing the same few things that you always do. By keeping a set list of tricks that you want to learn and making an effort to try them every time you skate, it'll make skating by yourself a lot more fun since you'll always have something that you're working on. This doesn't mean that you always have to learn some crazy new trick every time you skate. Sometimes it can be as simple as taking a trick that you can already do and making an effort to learn it on something new. Even though doing your go-tos can be nice, a lot of the fun of skateboarding comes from learning new things, so if you keep doing the same tricks, you're much more likely to get bored of it, especially if you're skating alone. Other than making skating by yourself more fun, for some people, it can also be a lot easier to learn new tricks when there's no one else around. When you go skate by yourself, you don't have to wait for anyone else, and you can just focus on the trick that you're trying to learn. There are times where it can be fun to learn a new trick with someone else, but if the spot or the park is crowded, it can make it a lot harder to learn something new because you kind of have to be considerate of everyone else. Realistically, you should probably try to learn a new trick every time you skate, even if you're with other people, but this especially goes for when you're skating by yourself. Tip number 2 for skating alone is to film yourself skating. Now, I wouldn't recommend going full on selfie stick with it, but if you aren't skating with anyone else, then there's nothing wrong with propping your phone up or setting a camera up on a tripod. Skating by yourself is a great time to film your skating so you can get a better look at what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. When you're skating with friends, no one wants to ask someone to film them try the same flat ground trick for an hour, but if you're by yourself, it's easy to just prop your phone up and practice the trick for as long as you want. This takes a lot of the pressure off since you're able to just focus on skating and not feel bad about having your friend film you for so long. Of course, it usually doesn't look as good as when someone else films, but it's still helpful just to see the footage. In a way, if you want to learn new tricks and you're skating alone, you almost have to film yourself. When you're skating with other people, they can usually tell you what you might be doing wrong, but when you're skating alone, the only way to really know is by seeing footage of it. Aside from just helping you improve, filming your skating can also be kind of rewarding because at the end of the day, most skateboarders like getting clips, even if that means filming them yourself. It doesn't matter if it's just a simple trick at a skate park or even some trick you filmed in your garage, it feels good to end a session knowing that you got a clip. Again, it's not going to look quite as good as having someone else film, but it's still better than not having any footage at all. The third tip is to practice consistency. It's one thing to be able to do a trick, and it's another to be consistent with it. We all know that one guy who has a really hard trick that he can do if he tries it for a few hours, which, don't get me wrong, it's cool, but it's always a lot cooler when someone is consistent. Having a solo session is great for practicing consistency and getting tricks down properly because you don't have as many distractions when you're the only one skating. When you're skating with friends, they don't always want to skate the same spots as you. You have to wait longer in between turns, and you just might not be as motivated to keep practicing the same trick over and over. A lot of pro skaters have talked about how they used to force themselves to do certain tricks every single time they skated, and it definitely pays off because that's one of the best ways to get consistent. A good example of this is doing some version of a straight 8, which is something that a lot of skaters do to warm up. Straight 8 usually means doing a kickflip and a heel flip, regular, fakie, switch, and nollie, but you can really do any variation that you want. You can make your own straight 8 for quarter pipes or ledges or whatever it is that you like to skate. The idea is that it helps you warm up and it also helps you get consistent. Whether you do the same trick over and over until you have it perfect, or just make sure that you do a certain trick at least once every time you skate, it's good to make an effort to practice getting consistent. Having a trick every try is a great feeling, and by skating alone, you give yourself some time to practice getting to that point. The fourth tip for skating by yourself is to keep things mellow. Even though it's good to push yourself and try to learn new tricks when you skate, you also don't want to go too hard and get broken off when you're skating alone. I'm not saying that you need to follow a buddy system every time you skate, I'm just saying that it's good to gauge the situation. Getting hurt skating is never really a fun time, but at least if you're with friends, you'll most likely get a clip out of it, and if needed, they can help you wobble back to the car afterwards. There's definitely skaters out there who will disagree with this and will tell you to skate whatever you want, and I understand the mentality, but there's a certain point where it's better to at least have one or two friends with you. Most people know how to keep things chill when they're skating by themselves, but there are skaters who will just go jump down some massive stair set without anyone else around. This is pretty sketchy to do because if for some reason you do get broken off, then you're literally all by yourself. Even if you do land whatever trick you're trying, you're either not going to have a clip to show for it, or you're going to be stuck with an angle that you filmed with your phone. Either way, it's better to keep things mellow when you're skating by yourself, and save the sketchy stuff for when you're skating with a crew. Tip number 5 is to watch skate videos. Getting hyped up when you're skating alone can definitely be harder than when you're skating with friends, and watching skate videos is a great way to fix this problem. I mean, most people watch skate videos before they go skate either way, but it especially helps if you're going to skate without your friends. It doesn't matter if you go to Thrasher or Instagram or even some stupid YouTube channel, watching skate videos before you go skate can make the session a lot more fun. Not only can it hype you up to go skate in the first place, but it can also help give you some ideas on some new tricks to try. Also, there's new skate content coming out every single day, so there's never a shortage of skate videos to watch. I thought about giving some recommendations, but honestly, I really just watch whatever Thrasher posts, so if you're looking for some suggestions, I recommend going over there. Or if you guys want to, go ahead and comment whatever skate videos you're really hyped on right now. That way other people can get some suggestions. There's a ton of great skate videos out there, so regardless of what kind of skating you like, there's always something new to watch. And if you're going to skate by yourself, watching a video beforehand can make the session a lot better. Tip number 6 for skating alone is to listen to music. Now this tip can somewhat come down to preference, but listening to music when you skate can really help with the energy of the session, especially when you're skating without friends. If you're someone who doesn't like listening to music when you skate, that's completely fine, but if you find yourself skating alone often, then it's worth trying out. There's been a lot of data saying that music can help people study better and can even give people better workouts, so it makes sense that it can also help people skate better. Some people do get annoyed when their friend is skating with headphones in because people tend to talk to each other while they skate.
How you doing? You having fun skating? Yeah, me too, man.
But if you're by yourself, then there's really no reason not to. If you don't want to be the guy wearing headphones at the skate park, you can also bring a wireless speaker to the session, which pretty much works just as good. I've talked about wireless speaker recommendations before, and I always have the one that I use linked in the description, but it doesn't really matter which one you go with as long as it has good reviews. Before we go into the next tip, I want to give a quick shout out to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring this video. Since my subscribers are all beautiful 1000 IQ geniuses, I assume that most of you already know what a VPN is, but I know a few people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so I'll give you a quick rundown just in case. A VPN, or a virtual private network, basically hides your IP address and makes your internet connection private. This stops companies from tracking your data that they can later use to bombard you with ads, and it can even prevent people from hacking your device when you use public Wi-Fi. Aside from that, it can also allow you to access content online that's not available in your country. Streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus have different content available depending on which country that you're in, so by using a VPN, you can instantly have access to a ton of new shows and movies. It might sound confusing to use, but Surfshark makes it super easy, and you can either download their app or use it as a browser extension. Not only that, but you can connect unlimited devices under the same account. Right now, you can get it for 83% off, plus 3 months free when you use the promo code SKATE. I'm gonna have them linked in the description if you want to check them out. And with that said, let's get back to the video. The 7th tip for skating alone is to talk about tricks with your friends. Talking to your friends about what tricks you're working on is a good way to have more fun with your solo sessions. If you tell your friend you want to learn a trick, or if they suggest a trick for you to learn, it can be cool to work on it when you're skating by yourself. That way you can actually land it the next time you skate with them. This is a good way to push each other, and even if you aren't skating with anyone else, it can still kind of feel like you are since someone else recommended you a trick. It's a great feeling when you learn a trick, and it's also a great feeling when someone else learns a trick that you recommended them to try. Talking about trick suggestions can help you get more creative, and a lot of times you'll be able to recommend tricks to each other that you probably wouldn't have thought about on your own. Depending on the trick, you might not be able to learn it in just one session, but just recommending tricks to each other will at least push you to progress more than you would have otherwise. People skate by themselves for plenty of reasons. Some people do it because they don't have any friends, and other people just do it because they like it. Regardless, every skateboarder tends to skate by themselves at least every now and then, and if you have the right outlook, it can actually be a lot of fun. If you have any tips of your own, go ahead and share them in the comments. Be sure to leave a like on the video, check out the links in the description, and with that said, thanks for watching.